On your Tuesday episode of Locked On Raptors, if RJ Barrett's the best player in the best international tournament ever put together, does that make him the best player to ever live?
You are Locked On Raptors, your daily Toronto Raptors podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, what's going on? And welcome to another episode of Locked On Raptors, aka Locked On Canada basketball for the next couple of weeks. And it is, of course, Tuesday, July the 30th. I'm your host, Sean Woodley. I've been covering the Toronto Raptors now for 10 seasons on various platforms. You can find all my work over on the Hell website at Woodley Sean. You can find the show on Instagram at Locked On Raptors. And of course, you can join us over in the Locked On Raptors Discord server, which was a flutter this morning with all kinds of folks waking up early to watch Canada take down Australia. And then even more a flutter as Canada beat Australia in the Rugby 7 semifinals to punch their ticket to the gold medal. It's been a rough morning for Aussies against Canadians, and it's a wonderful thing. Come join us in the Discord to go and laugh at our friend Josh Lloyd and his countrymen. Of course, you can find the show for free wherever you get your podcast. Follow, subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, all that good stuff. You can also go to YouTube and subscribe to the video version of the show if audio is not your flavor, and you can go and subscribe there. Hit the notification bell, and you get a push notification every single time the show is set to premiere or go live. It's a wonderful thing. Today's show is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel, the number one sportsbook in all the land. Make every moment more as playoffs wind down. The sport stops sporting like we want them to, but this summer, FanDuel is hooking up all customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. And we will get started here on an episode all about Team Canada taking down Australia 93-83 in their second game of Group A action at Paris 2024. We will get into our takeaways from the game, our good, bad, and there's a little bit of Raptors news regarding a logo that's out there now and some purple. My goodness, we'll get to that near the end of the show as well. But here to mostly spend time talking about how RJ Barrett is the single best player alive, a guy that got as a throw-in the OG Anunoby trade is our pal Jamar Hinds. Jamar, what a world we're living in where RJ Barrett is the class of the Olympic tournament. It's a beautiful thing. You're muted.
Oh.
There you go.
Normally you do that stuff. Sorry.
Yeah, no, that was all me. You're good.
Okay, so should I just
pick it up right? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, mostly what I like about RJ over not only in his time with Canada, but since he's come to the Raptors is he seems to make quick decisions as soon as he gets the ball, what he's going to do. And he's become so crafty at driving and finding lanes to the rim and finishing through contact. I think my favorite play from RJ in this game wasn't even a play he scored on. He got fouled on the play, but basically he caught the ball like 3/4 of the way. So, a quarter of the way. He went 3/4 of the way and basically was just pinballing into different guys on a drive and then got fouled. He had 24 points in this game. He had 23 points in the last game. And he just knows, it just feels like the consistency. He just knows exactly what is required of him every single game, and he just keeps doing it. And we raved about it for weeks with the Raptors about him just, driving and finishing, and he's taking that to Canada basketball as well. So it's been really great to see. He was also part of the reason that Canada was able to keep afloat when Shea went to the bench with 2 fouls.
Totally,
not even 2 minutes into the game. So yeah, RJ, like as you made a joke about if he's the best player because he's the best player in the best female team right now. So yeah, no, it's been awesome to see. It's been awesome to see for a guy that his value was kind of tarnished when he came to the Raptors. People were saying he was a throw-in. People were saying he was what was the word? Toxic
asset. Yeah. Asset. A very fun way to talk about basketball players that really cool people do.
Yeah, for a guy that's 23 years old. So which was crazy. So no, it's funny. I mean, it's great to see that RJ is changing the narrative regarding all of that talk about him.
Yeah, man. I talked about yesterday's show. We're basically recycling thoughts from yesterday because I was gloating and gushing about how awesome RJ Barrett was yesterday too in that Greece game. But it just speaks to what RJ Barrett's whole thing has been since coming to the Toronto Raptors. The dude just does the same thing every night, apparently. 24, 7, 5, basically in that ballpark for stats every single time he's played a game since getting traded away from the New York Knicks. And I think the number is our pal Daniel Hackett had it for me, sent it to me when I was tweeting about this during the game today. 22 of 32 games, RJ Barrett scored between, 22 and 29 points. Crazy. And then he's done it again 2 more times here for Canada in the Olympics. He's just unbelievably consistent, which is a thing I never thought we'd be saying about RJ Barrett during his time with the New York Knicks, where his whole thing was 2 really good weeks, 2 really bad weeks, and it all kind of netted out to a pretty okay player. He's just been flat out awesome for the Raptors, for Team Canada. And you mentioned, this game could have gotten away from them pretty early with Shea getting those 2 fouls in the first couple of minutes. The defense from the Boomers in this one, really, really impressive. They are just like super physical. Dyson Daniels, nasty defender. Josh Green, very good defender up and down. And yet, I think RJ Barrett kind of getting into those pockets in space, running in transition. Like, this was a big part of the second half, was their transition attack really kind of opened up. They got way more on the open floor, were able to break down and sort of avoid getting into the half-court battle with that really good Aussie half-court defense. And RJ Barrett, hugely essential to all of that. It's wonderful to see what he's doing. And yeah, I think obviously Shai Gilgeous-Alexander draws all the attention. He is the best player on Canada. But RJ Barrett has been the clear number 2 to me. And with Jamal Murray not maybe looking himself, having RJ as that sort of second scoring option has been an absolute godsend. Thoughts on Jamal Murray? Let's get to him here. Another rough one for him. 5 points, 2 of 7. It felt like he took the same step back triple like 5 times in this game. I think you were tweeting about this during the game as well. The shot selection, not great. He did have 5 assists, so that's nice, filling in the playmaking gap when Shea was sitting here and there. But thoughts on Jamal Murray, who I think is going to have to be better for Canada to really have full designs on surprising and, if they come across the States, if they have any hope of beating the States, Jamal Murray's got to be on. But through the first couple of games here, he's certainly been, I think, as concerning as it seemed like he might be coming into the tournament, considering the weirdness of his time away from the team, the health stuff and all of that.
Well, actually, I was going to save this for my but I'll think of a new one down the line. Regarding Murray, yeah. I noticed he made his first shot. It looked really good. A little size up move, step back 3, put Canada up to in the first quarter after Shea had been sitting out for so long. But yeah, he did that similar kind of step back move about 3 or 4 more times, and those ones didn't drop. He finished 2 for 7.
Yeah,
2 for 7 from the field. He did hit a key shot over Patty Mills in the paint, but I just felt like Murray has a bigger offensive bag than just to take a step back 3. Like he can get it. He's a 3-level scorer just like Shea is. And it's been interesting because I was wondering out aloud if Murray's just going to be a guy now where we are always talking about his health. Is he a guy that's going to have to be managed in the future? I'm not talking like Kawhi level, but a guy that it's like, sometimes I see he's moving well, and then sometimes not so well. And I think it's been a good idea to bring him off the bench to kind of provide a little bit of punch off the bench, another extra ball handler, especially the closeout games. Especially you saw that in the Greece game when they started to double the absolute hell out of Shea, and he had to find someone to give the ball to. So Murray would bring up the ball a couple of times and made a couple of key free throws. But yeah, in regards to this game, I would like to see them find a way to utilize him more outside of just, shooting threes. Could there be some cutting action, some dribble handoffs to because that's what he does in Denver, is dribble handoffs. And the problem is they don't have the big that draws the attention like Jokic, obviously, but because he would use those handoffs to get to mid-range area, elbow area, where he's so proficient in hitting shots from there. I just feel like there's more ways that he could be utilized, and we'll see as this goes along. And obviously, I've seen a lot of Murray being a Nuggets fan. And yeah, he doesn't look totally himself, but I'm just giving it time. I feel like there's a breakout game around the corner somewhere, but it is nice with Murray not totally looking himself that you do have other options. Dillon Brooks has been really underrated as a scoring option as well. He's been really consistent, even going back to the World Championships last year. So it is nice that they have other options while Murray's still kind of figuring things out.
Yeah, it's a luxury to have this many guys who can go get you a bucket, right? And previous iterations of Canada would not have been able to survive Jamal Murray looking as he has through the first couple of games, but they're super deep. They got a lot going. I agree. I think better days are ahead for Murray. And I do wonder if there is something, we'll talk about Kelly Olynyk a little bit too. He, not part of the rotation really in this one, just played 4 minutes. He's not really been a factor through 2 games, which is strange considering the immense impact he's had on Canada basketball over the last decade plus. I wonder if some of that dribble handoff stuff is something they can tap into with Murray and Olynyk together coming in off the bench a little bit more. And again, Australia, they went small a lot in this game with a single big, fair enough. And I think we'll get into Dwight Powell and Kem Birch. I thought they did a really good job sort of being those sort of more close to the rim, stationary type fives and sort of offered a nice back line of defense. But I do think for this team, again, to hit its ceiling, Kelly Olynyk's got to be draining threes. Kelly Olynyk's got to be pulling out opposing bigs from the paint to clear things out for Shea and company. And I think maybe there's something there. He's not Jokic, obviously, but if there is a guy on Canada on the front court who has the Jokic skill set of being able to, scare teams with the threat of his 3-point shot, with the keeper ability, with the passing out of the high post, he feels like the guy. So maybe those two together can get on track with one another. We're going to come back on the other side, Jamar, get into some other thoughts from this game, the defense in the second half, the turnaround after what was a bit of a wobbly first half where 3-point dependence, especially in the first quarter, kind of kept Canada in it. We'll get into how they turned on the Jets, the changes they might have made, and all that coming up in just 1 sec. Today's show is brought to you by friends over at FanDuel, the single best place to go throw down some money on sports during the Olympics. And of course, all summer long, FanDuel is taking care of its customers with a boost or a bonus daily. That's right. There's something for everyone every day, all summer long over at FanDuel. Go check them out and throw some money down if that is what you're into. Of course, all the Olympic events are there. Basketball, of course, Canada on the men's side, the number 2 favorite by Vegas odds to win the gold medal. But because the States are such prohibitive favorites, you can throw some money down on Canada still and probably get a pretty good return if they go ahead and do the thing on the back of one RJ Barrett. Of course, it's not just Canada, though. If you want to go throw some money down on the France-Japan game, a big one when it comes to point differential. If you want to just throw a little money on Japan to cover the 16.5-point spread and help out Canada's bid for one of the top 2 seeds at the end of group play because of point differential, you can totally go and do that. FanDuel, it's a great place. Head over to FanDuel.com and start making the most out of your summer. FanDuel, official sports betting partner, Major League Baseball, and of course, the Locked On Podcast Network. Back at it here, getting into where things turned for Canada in this one. Again, a really, I think, competitive, tough first half. The Aussies win the first 2 quarters by 2 points apiece. Josh Giddey was giving Chicago Bulls fans hope that it's not going to be an abject failure with him as the lead guard, which on its own, maybe Canada, it's like a stain on Canada's record, making Josh Giddey look good. I know he looks good in FIBA and all that, but anyway. 19-7-6 for Giddey in this one. Again, a lot of that damage done in the first half of this game. Jock Landale was kind of thrown around his body, and he did that throughout the game, but in the first half in particular, he was really dominant. Letting Jack McVay off for 3 triples as well. There was a lot of hairiness in this game in the first half. I think it could have gotten away from Canada a little bit if the threes weren't falling in that first quarter. But then the second half comes around, the defense locks in, Shea is on the court for most of that half, and everything kind of fell into place. What did you notice in that second half that changed for Canada, that kind of shifted the tides to make it a pretty comfortable win for them by the end?
Well, quick note on Giddey. This is a totally different role than we're used to him playing. Obviously, all those years with the Thunder, he's playing alongside Shea, and him leading, like being a lead guard, is a little bit different. I feel like he's more suited to that role than playing off ball, which is kind of why he fell out of the rotation a little bit, or was the odd man out in the playoffs. But the defense, the perimeter defense, the interior defense, let's be honest, Canada is undersized. That's going to be a problem in most games. But the perimeter defense in particular was pretty bad in the first half. Like Giddey was driving at will. And even when Giddey was out of the game, you saw Dante Exum get in a couple times. You see Dyson Daniels do like a little spin move and score. Australia had 30 points in the paint in the first half. Jordy Fernandez talked about that at halftime and not being happy with that. And then Dylan Brooks said after the game that they made an adjustment at halftime where Lou guarded Giddey and he guarded Patty Mills. And there was that one play in the third quarter where, well, at the end of the third quarter, where like I guess it's one of Giddey. I mean, outside of practice, I guess it's one of Giddey's first experiences of the torture chamber, where he just ripped the ball. You just ripped the ball away from Giddey.
Play of the game, by the way,
and threw it down the other way.
That was satisfying.
That was great. But yeah, the perimeter defense was so much better in the second half. You saw Shea get a couple of deflections. I noticed the guards were getting quite a few blocks. Like Shea had 2 blocks. Murray off the bench had 2 blocks. So that was nice to see. And yeah, they didn't have the driving lanes that they did in the first half. It was a lot harder for Australia to score in the second half, which opened up Canada's transition game in the third quarter. And I think they scored 27 points in the third. So yeah, that definitely helped to open it up. There's a couple more turnovers, even if they were all on not in play turnovers, even if it was going out of bounds or something. But yeah, the defense completely changed the game. And then also Jordy shortened the rotation. You saw less of Kelly Olynyk. You saw less of Trey Lyles, who I thought struggled on both ends a little bit in this game. You saw he insert Kem Birch into the lineup, and he did a pretty good job. Interior defense, there was one particular play in the fourth where he altered 2 shots in the same possession, and then Exum got in the corner and ended up stepping out of bounds. I thought that was a big play. He even found a little bit of chemistry with Jamal Murray late in the game, which I thought was pretty big. So, yeah, will we see more? Obviously, a lot of this is matchup dependent, but I think Cam made a case to get more minutes or be more of a factor. And yeah, Lyles, this just wasn't with the Australia's physicality, probably wasn't the game for him, probably wasn't the game for Olynyk, and it was good to see that Jordy recognized that, and especially with the interior defense, that was a big reason why things changed.
Yeah, for sure. I think, that perimeter defense, Lou Dort, unbelievable. Overall, 28 points off 18 Australia turnovers in this game. 11 steals for Canada, which is like right out of prime Nick Nurse Raptors era, like numbers for steals. This is the type of wing defense this team is capable of. This is one of the clear strengths of the team with Brooks, with Dort, with even Gilgeous-Alexander Walker, whose offense right now is really bad. And he was also a guy who kind of got trimmed from the rotation down the stretch. But when you have Brooks and Dort as a 1-2 on the wings, you can change up those matchups if one's not quite working, and you can maybe find something that works. It was awesome. Really good sort of button pressing from Jordy Fernandez down the stretch. Just to reset where things are now for Canada in their group. They are number 1 in their group at 2-0. They have a point differential now of plus 17, which is good, not great when you consider that France is at plus 12 and takes on Japan today, likely to pad that against 16.5-point favorites over Japan in their game. Germany's plus 20 in their group as well. Both those teams are 1-0. Basically, again, to kind of reset what you want to see here, you want Canada to be one of the top 2 teams after group play alongside probably the States. Obviously, they took care of business against Serbia. That's their toughest game in their group by far. It seems like the States are on track to go 3-0 and have the best point differential, which means they'll be potted as the number 1 overall seed, most likely. If Canada can be number 2, they will not meet the States until the gold medal game. That is huge. And the way for Canada to do that is either finish 3-0 while one of Germany or France goes 2-1 to win Group B, or neither of them go 3-0, or you got to have a better point differential if one of those teams does go 3-0, which right now looking a little bit tough for Canada. So you're rooting against Germany and France in their next set of games, and hoping the winner of that group just gets the 2 wins, and that Canada, of course, can take down Spain when they take them on later this week as well. But yeah, it's they've set themselves up beautifully now. They're not officially mathematically into the quarters, but it seems it's like a foregone conclusion at this point that they will be at least there.
Yeah, if France and Germany both win their games later today, then they do actually clinch. But regarding the point differential, I mean, it's going to be tough to have a better point differential than France or Germany, considering the groups. I mean, they called it a group of death for a reason. The group that Canada is in, they are playing tougher opponents. So that's going to be a tough one. We'll see. It's hard for me to see them have a better point differential than either team, France or Germany, which means, like you said, they would play US earlier. Like that would suck to play them in like a potential semifinal, not to get like too ahead of ourselves or anything. But
you have to. It's tournament basketball. You got to be kind of looking ahead at all times.
I guess so. I'm taking baby steps, but I guess so. Yeah.
Germany, Brazil, they take on each other later today, 3 p.m. You're probably listening to this by the time that game's been played anyway, but Germany 12.5-point favorites in that one. So yeah, that Germany-France game is going to be huge. You would hope that maybe it's just like a close nail biter and neither team pads their point differential and Canada can take down Spain. And actually, I think Spain, as much as they beat Greece today, Greece is a weird team. I think Spain is probably the best matchup for Canada in this group just because Canada has such an edge when it comes to like athleticism and speed. And I don't think Spain is quite the physical sort of beast that Australia was or Greece was with Giannis just kind of on his own. And so I think this could be a game where we see Kelly Olynyk get loose. It could be a game where Jamal Murray feels a little bit more comfortable, where Dyson Daniels isn't haranguing him on the perimeter and all of that. It's going to be huge. Obviously, lots of time left to go, and the point differential stuff is going to be sorted out. There's plenty to go here, but either way, Canada in good position to win their group and be in the best possible place to potentially punch their ticket to a gold medal game against the States if they can avoid them in the bracket. And again, you got to win some quarterfinal knockout games and semifinals to get there anyway. So
yeah, even going back to Spain, even when you said that, they're not as probably as physical as Australia would be, like even interior wise, for years, the Gasol brothers were there. So even the absence of them changes a lot of things regarding that.
Yeah, I'm not so worried about Santi Aldama bodying Dwight Powell. Knock on wood, because that could very well happen. International basketball is weird. We're going to come back on the other side and get into our good, bad, and from Canada's win over Australia, and a quick thought as well on the Raptors announcing their 30th anniversary logo that has all kinds of purple. We're going to do that coming up in just one sec. All right, wrapping things up here with Jamar Hinds. A reminder, Locked On Sports Today 24/7 is your all-day streaming channel. Go check out everything that's on there all day long. Sports that are being covered by our local experts, the biggest stories in sports, that is, from the NFL training camp stuff to college football season getting close, baseball trade deadline, obviously lots of coverage of the Olympics as well, surely on the NBA side of things with Locked On NBA. Go check out Locked On Sports Today 24/7. Subscribe to the channel and just have it running all day long in the background while you do your tasks. All right, let's get to it here. Jamar, the good, the bad, and the Team Canada edition. A thing we liked, a thing we didn't like, and a thing that's got us a wee bit intrigued from the latest Canada basketball game, a 93-83 win over Australia. What you got for your good?
I'm going to use my good to give a little bit more love to Dylan Brooks.
All right, perfect.
Even when Canada was struggling defensively in the first half, he's always going to try and toe the line a little bit, kind of trying to get a little bit extra physical with Giddey. My favorite play from him in this game, though, was the end where Australia, I thought they were going to foul, but I guess they didn't want to give Canada free points at the line, so they just kind of like laid off with Canada up 7. But Dylan was like, no, you're going to eat this 3. So he knocks
point differential, down, baby. I love it.
Adds to the point differential, makes Canada win by 10 instead of by 7. And then he also said after the game, and I quote, where is it? I gotta find it. All the months we've been battling together with each other, I feel we are the most physical team out there in FIBA. And while that may or may not be true, the mentality that he brings to this team, I just love it. He brings an edge to this team. And And even, some of the stuff that will annoy people, like him walking through Booker and Anthony Edwards interviews. I just love the Team Canada version of Dillon Brooks. And I just feel he brings that edge and confidence to this team that they need. So so he's my good.
Dillon Brooks feels to Team Canada like what Draymond Green was to the sort of Dynasty Warriors, where he's always kind of towing the line, but that's what makes him Draymond Green. And sometimes bad things happen when you're towing the line and you fall off the line and things kind of get derailed for a second. But so far, Dillon Brooks done a pretty good job of staying on the rails. Yeah, he fouled out of the game against Greece. You're guarding Giannis in a 5-foul game. Yes, that's going to happen. He had 4 fouls today, including the double foul with Josh Giddey after he scored in Josh Giddey and just kind of screamed at him and then just sort of walked with him up the court. That's fun. I think you'll take that foul for foul trade all day. You hope it doesn't sort of kind of go into bad Dillon Brooks at any point throughout this tournament, but so far so good. And even going back to the World Cup last year, he was good Dillon Brooks for basically that entire run. And so maybe being on Team Canada is what evens him out to being just exactly on the line at all times. You love to see. That's a great good. My good is the big man duo of Dwight Powell and Khem Birch, who combined in this game to play 34 of the 40 minutes. And I thought played very well as a tandem. I thought, Jock Landale had his way. He was very good in this game, had a double-double, 16 points, 12 rebounds. He's big. He's massive. He is probably the most frightening player on that Australia team based on how he's played so far in this tournament, non-Josh Giddey division. And I think it was a tough assignment, right? He's probably the best big they're going to come across in this group play stage. And, as much as Powell wasn't, lighting up the score sheet or anything like that, 7 points, 9 boards, had a couple blocks as well, or 2 steals in this game. No blocks for him in this one, but had the 2 steals. Khem Birch comes in, looked pretty out of his depth in the first half for the couple minutes he got, but came in, played some big minutes late, got those couple big stops at the rim, scored 6 points, just kind of garbage buckets around the rim, seeping into space, that type of thing. And a really great story for Khem Birch to have that moment where he was a pivotal player down the stretch of a close game for Team Canada. I thought they were awesome as a duo and really were sort of the backbone of the defensive uptick in the second half, as much as the perimeter defense was fantastic as well. They offered a really nice back line behind them. Let's get to the bad. What was your bad from this game?
Well, we talked about the issues with, interior and perimeter defense in the first half. I'm going to go to that call, and I'm still a little bit kind of confused about. So there was a play where off the miss, I think it was off a miss. Jock Landale and
Shea.
Their hands came in at the same time, basically. But Landale was the one that actually tipped the ball, and it was ruled a basket for Australia. I thought when they went to review the play, you could clearly see that Landale's hand touched the ball and hit it out. So it looked like an obvious offensive basket interference to me, but they still gave Australia the points. That was weird to me.
Yeah. It wasn't
unless there's some rule that I don't know of, because I'm not that familiar with FIBA ball. So unless there's a rule that I don't know of, that just felt like a bad call to me. So that would be my bad.
So my thought on that, my interpretation, and maybe this is a generous reading of it in favor of the officials, but I do think the officials have been pretty good at kind of explaining stuff as they go through the replay process. They didn't do it so much on this one, but I do think my reading of that was Shea's hand was in the cylinder underneath the basket first. He didn't touch the ball, but his hand was there first. And I feel like that's maybe when the play is just considered dead. And so Landale touching it is maybe irrelevant. It's kind of like one of those situations where you got a replay and I'm trying to think of an exact example of it in the NBA where like a thing happens that stops the play, and then like a foul or something committed after is then considered irrelevant because the original foul should have been the stopping point of the play. That was my best interpretation of it. Glad it didn't come back to bite them, because it was a very weird thing. And generally, as someone who appreciates FIBA's around the cylinder rules, I was sad to be sort of betrayed by them, although it wasn't exactly the sort of dunk it on the rim type of thing. But maybe we should be able to poke the ball out of the bottom of the basket before it goes all the way through. Maybe that's a cool, fun rule we should institute. I don't know. My bad for this game. I didn't love Andrew Nembhard's game. I think he had a pretty
Yeah.
decent turn in the
Okay.
first quarter where, Shea goes out. He offered a little bit of, extra ball handling and had he made a big three in the first quarter as well. But he ends up going 1 of 6. Didn't love the shot selection overall from him. A couple of threes that he just kind of flipped up really quick, kind of not super in the flow of the offense. I don't think he was bad necessarily, but I don't think many players were bad in this game for Canada. And so
Right.
I'm not going to get too hung up on it, but he was not my favorite guy on the team to watch in this one. And I think he as well sort of fell out of favor down the stretch in the terms of the rotation. -9 for Nembhard in this one, a team worst. So if I'm looking to get negative, he's probably the one. But again, it's one game. He was very good in the first one, and I'm not too concerned at all. Let's get to the quickly, shall we? What you got for your
Okay, so flipping my because it was on Jamal Murray. I'm just gonna scenario paint here. If France and Germany end up winning later on, like we pretty much expect them to, and Canada ends up clinching a quarterfinal spot, upcoming that game against Spain on Friday, please don't get complacent because you've already clinched. Please don't do that. The point differential and record still matter, and that could determine you playing a tougher team that you shouldn't have to end up playing in the quarterfinals. So please don't do that. Even Shea said before, after this game that, if we look too far ahead and play complacent, we could end up losing. We don't want to do that. So it's good to know that they're aware of that. So yeah, if they end up clinching later, like by the time listeners already listen to this, if they've already clinched by then, just please don't Spain's just a throwaway game. It doesn't matter if we win or lose. We're already in the quarterfinals. That is a losing mentality, and that will end up you playing against like a Germany or something. And it's just like, why are you playing them in the quarterfinals? Well, that's why. So do not take that mentality, please. And I don't think
Spain
they will.
picking up. No, I don't think so either. But Spain picking up that win over Greece today is huge for them because they can also go 2-1. In theory, it could still win the group, depending on point differential and all that too. So I think Australia can also technically still win the group. Again, point differential is everything. They would have to blow the hell out of Greece to be in that convo. But yeah, it's far from finished or decided in Group A action for sure. My very quickly. Just an imagining of what's going to happen with Shai Gilgeous-Alexander starts just like getting looks up because he's been pretty, I would say, reserved in hunting his own shot. He's been very differential. It's not a bad thing by any means. He's been incredibly efficient when he has been sort of getting his own offense today. 8 of 10 from the field, 16 points, a couple of bizarre free throw misses late, but overall, really, really good stuff from Shai. And I'm just wondering what's the Shai explosion going to look like when he gets a plum matchup and it's not Dyson Daniels in his shirt from half court all the way up. It's going to be exciting. We have yet to see the best from Shai. We're going to get a Shai game in this tournament. I don't know when it's going to be, but we're going to get one, and it's going to rock.
Well, we've had clutch Shai. We just haven't had the dominate all game long Shai. But he had that one insane shot. I don't remember who it was over. But it bounced around the rim a few times in the fourth and then just went in. I was like, how did you even get that off? I don't even understand. But yeah, his setups, the way he can create shots on the baseline and those fadeaways there, like his mid-range game is so pretty to watch.
It's ridiculous. That one he had where he kept his pivot foot in the first half for like 6 seconds trying to find himself away and then steps through and scores on the bank. Yeah, unreal.
I think Patty Mills was guarding him on that, and then he just slips by him somehow and banks it in.
Yeah, I think Patty has to retire after tonight because of that. Yeah, awesome stuff from Shai. And yeah, like there's going to be a 35-point explosion at some point here, and I cannot wait. That's my Let's very quickly hit on the news out of the Raptors camp today as they strangely dropped the news of their new logo. You can go look it up. I'm not going to share it on the screen here because I don't think I'm allowed to do that technically, but you can go and check it out for yourself. The 30th anniversary Raptors logo adorned in purple. It's very exciting, Jamar. Still have no idea what their jersey plan is going to be for this season. I hope it's not just like a 1 year, here's an extra jersey type of thing. I think they should just go back purple full time, but that's just me. Either way, it seems like it's going to be quite the season of festivities celebrating the 30th anniversary. One of the announcements included in the press release that went out by the Raptors is that they'll be doing a night celebrating Vince Carter's 2000 dunk contest win, which will be awesome. Do you have anything as far as impressions, thoughts, hopes, and dreams about their upcoming jersey set, all of that after the Raptors released their 30th anniversary logo? Again, all kinds of purple. It's very exciting, man.
Well, in terms of the purple, Obviously you can tell I'm a fan of the purple if you're watching, because I have a little Vince jersey literally right here.
Hell yeah.
In terms of the purple, unfortunately, I do feel like it's just going to be a one season thing where they're like, here, damn, you guys are complaining about purple so much, so here, take it for like a few games, and then it goes back to status quo. I hope not, but I'm not going to get my hopes too high regarding that. The logo in itself, well, I saw it with like the purple background in one corner and the red background in the other corner, and then the claw mark, the raptor, the claw marks, and then the claw ball. It just felt like it, and basically it was like a whole compilation of like all their eras, which I guess makes sense. You're trying to celebrate every era of Raptors basketball. Obviously, there was no chevron though, and I think people are. I think you should take that as a win, because I know if there's anything I know about any Raptor designs over the last few years, people are tired of the chevrons. So I didn't see any chevrons, unless maybe I wasn't looking hard enough. But I believe there are no chevrons in that logo, so I'll take that as a win.
Chevron free in 24-25. Join that. Add that to hashtag better than the Bulls as the hopes for this coming season. Jamar, thanks so much, brother. This was great. Thanks for hopping on short notice to talk about Canada's win. We'll be back again later this week to talk about Canada's next game in the tournament, which I believe is Friday against Spain, if I'm not mistaken.
Friday against Spain. I believe it's at 7:30 as well. Or is that later?
I kind of love the morning wake ups. It's great. Though they will play at let me see here, 11:15 Eastern on Friday. So we'll do a podcast after that on Friday afternoon. So you have that to look forward to. Until then, thanks so much for rocking with us, Jamar. Anything you want to promote for the good people out there?
Yeah, last time I lied. I actually am doing recaps for Canada basketball.
Hell yeah!
I did a recap for the women's game. That was a tough game against France. That should be a podium team. So I did that yesterday. I'm doing a recap game against Australia today, where you can see that whenever you check this pod out. And then I'll also be recapping the rest of the women's games. That's the only men's game within the group play that I'm doing. Maybe I'll get to do a quarterfinal or semifinal game or whatever, but I'm doing the rest of the women's games as well. So you can always check that out in case you missed those games, because those games are pretty early. I'm pretty sure the games against Australia and Nigeria later in the week are also at 7:30. I'm like 95% sure about that. So, if you oversleep, you can just check out my recap.
Perfect. The God of the Game recap doing summer duty. We love to see it. And that's going to do it for us here. I left my basketball on the table behind me, Jamar. So build up to my shot while I go collect the basketball, because I'm very bad at preparing myself beforehand with my props. Okay, sure. Play by play. Let's see. He finds it too high of a dribble. He could easily get stripped. Don't do that again. I got that Josh Giddey dribble. Yeah. Is this the dagger? Nope. Bye. Not even close.